on the last episode of Dragon Ball Z.
You don't get to rush this. Get up!
일단 개같은 개연 스토리와 연출의 지문과 평점이 높다는 게 진짜 이해가 안 간다. 병신겜.
Gaming was better when Japanese arcade devs had influence and focus on gameplay. Now even in Japan, that art is going away. Yeah, they're giving in to the mind virus, the political propaganda after all this time. I mean, it's bad enough they left Ellie alive. Why would you leave Tommy alive too? It just makes no sense. The actual crux of the entire plot, the hinging point, the inciting incident, right? Makes no fucking sense. Like, you already fucked up. Why are people such pussies when it comes to post-apocalypse? Like, say what you want about, like, shitty Bethesda writing or whatever. But in Fallout 3, every raider was, like, a cannibal. Like, a cannibal who murdered. They had strung up bodies all over the fucking inside. I hope you know, in the next few years, we absolutely will be seeing some female space marines. They already put strong female characters in multiple of the games, you know, and Sisters of Battle, blah, blah, blah. When you do shit like that, you're letting them in. You understand that? Like, every time that you give them an inch, right, they take a mile. There will be no male hobbies left. Zero. Yeah, no surprise the new Warhammer game is written by Chud. Yeah, I think I said that in a video, didn't I? If I didn't, I definitely talked about it on stream before. I don't know how Games Workshop could get this way. I mean, I know, again, once we all knew about BlackRock, things started to make sense, but I just don't understand. You literally hire people who hate your customer base, and not in, like, in positions of power. I mean, that's the thing. That's why it's shocking. Like, if there were janitors, I'd love to see some female janitors. You don't see a lot of those. God damn it, I gotta stop talking about women, but this game gets me. This game fills me with rage. Gibby Gaming, thanks for $5. Send what do you think of blacks? Now I'm black and I have some controversial opinions of them. I believe it or not, despite all the shit talking I've done about women, I don't think all of any group of people are a certain way. Even them, right? Because realistically, that's not actually how it works. The problem is that people need to realize everything is, it's a couple things. Class warfare, right? This is about rich people versus poor people. People in power versus people with no power. That's one thing the leftists actually have correct. They just don't understand who's actually in power, and they don't understand power dynamics. And the other thing is, intelligence is extremely important, and that is the problem with giving everyone the same rights. If someone who's actually clinically mentally retarded, someone who probably can't make any important decisions of their own, why should that person have the same rights as me? I mean, seriously, like, there's no good explanation for that. It doesn't mean everyone's like that, but there's... Yeah, I mean, I have some controversial opinions as well. I talked about a certain statistic earlier when I talked about JonTron. Rusty Cheese Knife, thanks $2. If the game you rage, they've won, just laugh. I know, the problem with the laughing at Clown World thing is, like, this is always the problem I had with Mr. Medicare. After a certain point, like, it stops being funny, I think. And again, I've never hated Medicare. I think I agree with him on a shit ton of stuff, obviously, but I don't know, it just stops being funny eventually. It just starts being like a black hole of depression or rage, depending on your mental state at the time. See, Ender Tat, I can't advocate for action, obviously, or I'll be banned on YouTube, but look, as I said before, what I really believe is that, well, yeah, the thing is, with gun violence, suicide is a massive part. I mean, depending on what you consider violence, but suicide is a massive part of that. And look, I am not gonna... People never talk about that angle, you know, because mental health is just a convenient scapegoat for things, but no one actually wants to address it because the gun violence shit is completely overblown for multiple reasons. We know who's killing each other. Not politically correct to say it. And listen, I'm totally down to discuss, you know, what the reasons are. Again, I think a lot of things play a factor. Obviously, it's not correct to say intelligence, but I'd say it's intelligence. It's growing up without a father is a fucking massive one. Like, that might actually be the biggest one. Like, more than intelligence, it might just be growing up without a father figure. And what are you going to say about that? Like, what the fuck? Like, I can't... How can you blame someone for that, other than the fathers who leave? Obviously, you can blame them. She's supposed to be black. That's what the TV show told me. Look, I've told you guys before, and it was never a lie. I had 2 close black friends, not even that long ago. The first year of my YouTube channel, 2 of my closest friends were black, and it was just kind of sad to see that modern politics sort of split us apart eventually, and I'm kind of the one who decided to stop talking to him just because I just didn't want to talk about the shit anymore. Obviously, I was becoming slowly more schizo over time as I went deeper and deeper down the rabbit holes, but we didn't have to talk about politics. It just kind of just kept coming up for one reason or another, and I just didn't want to talk about it anymore. No, Thomas is Mexican, and he's the type of Mexican who hates other Mexicans, which is hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. I can have my weird authoritarian fantasies, but they're obviously never going to happen. But realistically, if something did happen, if there was a happening in 2 more weeks or whatever,
have to bring these people to justice.
I'm throwing out all the dog whistles right now.
Maybe
you just need to know who your enemy is. That's what it's really about at the end of the day.
So I can end this.
It would be impossible for me to go woke and it be even slightly convincing at this point. Trust me. The only people... The problem is, I would say the same of iDubbbz, but yeah, I guess he pulled it off somehow. How do you go from saying the N-word and the F-slur, which, you know, as you guys know, is my favorite word, but how do you go from saying those to pretending to be woke? God, that's such a joke. The only thing he's not pretending is to be a cuck, which I guess he always was a cuck. That I do believe. There's certainly a myth that YouTubers make a lot more money than they do. I'll tell you, the ones who do are the ones who sell products or do sponsorships all the time. Those guys make a lot of money. 2 girls scissor a horse. Oh, wow. Letters. I wonder what those letters spell, dude. You think Ellie was supposed to be a Jew-loving lesbian? I'm not sure if the Jew-loving part was ever a thought process. But as for the lesbian thing, yeah, no, I don't think Bruce Straley thought that, but who knows? I don't know. I can't say for certain. Jesus Christ, Charlie, really? That's the first comment I read is about Sphere Hunter and getting hard. That's good. So I was making my top 20 games, and like half of them are Sony exclusives. My top 20 favorite games, like almost half of them. I used to fucking love Sony games. That's why I hate them so much now. That's what people need to understand. Is that it's always your biggest fans who hate... That's what Kiwi Farms is. I mean, at the end of the day. You know, Kiwi Farms is a bunch of people... They were huge fans of whatever E-celeb or something, and then E-celeb betrayed them in some way or whatever. Or at least that's what is perceived. And then they hate them. I mean, that's just the nature of things. I hate Sony. I fucking hate Sony. Because I used to love their games. I'm trying to think, what were the games? See, like, it doesn't even matter if I say the games, because who even knows when the video's coming out? But I was writing down, like, my top 20 favorite games, and out of Sony exclusives, and not all of these were Sony-owned studios, obviously, but the point is they were Sony exclusive games. It was like, you know, Spyro, Crash 2, Kingdom Hearts, though obviously it's not exclusive anymore. And Infamous, yes, I was about to say Infamous is in my top... Infamous 2 is the number 20 on the list. I already recorded that part. So I've recorded like 6 or 7 out of the 20 games already. And like I was saying in the community post, when you're talking about things you really like, obviously you need to be in a positive mood to do so. Otherwise, it's not very convincing. I'm not an actor, obviously. So then it was like Ratchet & Clank Up Your Arsenal, Jak 3, MGS1 or MGS3. I gotta play them again, but I gotta say, when I finally played them for the first time, I actually did like the first one more. Not because it's a better game, but I just like the story better. Listen, you guys should know... You guys know me to a point, obviously. Let's not get too parasocial here. But you know me to a point. I was not a big fan of the boss. I know a lot of people love the boss.
Dina, hey.
I did not
help me
like
up
the
here.
boss. I'm streaming. If I play a game privately, I never get lost. You people need to understand the Let's Play curse, as it was called in my day, is a completely real thing because the human brain is not meant to multitask. If I'm telling you a story, I'm visualizing the story in my brain, which means I'm not really paying attention to what's happening on screen. Even if I'm not telling you a story,
Ellie,
it still
I
takes...
think Shimmer's
Your
getting
brain has to
sick.
split its attention to talk.
How can you tell?
It's why every Let's
She sounds a
Play,
little
people say
hoarse.
they're bad, and sometimes they are bad. Like, the Game Grumps were fucking
on, that
bad.
was a big
Aaron is bad at games, and Danny obviously didn't play games at all. John was maybe slightly better than Aaron. Maybe.
Whoa, check out this
And
game.
again, that's like 10-year-old memories, so what the fuck do I know? The Switch is 60 FPS in the main menu. You're fucking trolling me, Spanky, I guarantee it, because this is the original PS4 version. I don't think it's has 60 FPS. I don't have a PS4 Pro, and you know, I don't have the PS5 version, so yeah, I mean, it's not here. This is fucking timeout, Spanky. He's slowing down this already slow playthrough of the shitty game. If you play on PS5, it would upgrade it to at least PS4 Pro version. It's not worth switching for this shit, because I have to install the game again. I mean, this literally has an install disc, so I have to install it, then put in the other disc, and I have to unplug the HDMI. It's worth it? Why are people complaining so much about 30 frames? You guys played like this for at least 10 years. Assuming it's not just the Zoomers complaining. From 2006 to 2013, and honestly up until probably more likely probably up until like 2018 or something. Almost every console game was 30 FPS. You fuckers. This LARPing fucks. I just know it. I know it. Okay, 1 second. You guys, what do you want to do while it's installing? You guys owe me something. I don't know what you owe me, but we'll figure it out. How long it's been. The Demon Souls disc was still in. Oh boy. I'm sure that'll be done fast. 11%. I guess we're doing something else for now. I knew this would happen. Well, this is mocking a leftist meme. Moss. This is, I'm assuming was made on 4chan, but it was made somewhere. I've seen this a few times. Where it's basically just making fun of how leftist comics like to portray their enemies as extremely over the top, and then the lefty guy is super calm. Ironically, there's an artist who isn't a leftist, who's on our side, who basically does the complete opposite, where I don't remember the artist's name, but maybe one of you guys will, where he just draws these detailed, like, hideous faces of lefty people, like, going nuts. And so, but that's just reflecting what they do. It's more like a know you thing, because this type of comic format I've seen a bunch of times. Cyber56, thanks $2. Your thoughts on Microsoft buying Capcom?
I've noticed a trend in writing. It
Dude,
seems
Microsoft,
to be getting more common over
I hate
time.
Microsoft.
It's a certain type of
I
writing.
don't think I don't hate Microsoft. I never talk about Microsoft. I hate Microsoft almost as much as I hate Sony. They've done almost nothing with all the studios they bought, other than ones that were already doing stuff. So I don't know. Capcom's obviously, it might not actually affect Capcom that much, other than the fact that their games are gonna be even gayer than before. Probably they're gonna have more woke shit. We'll say it that way.
Capitalism low-key killed our vibe and gaslit us into being okay with our bosses and landlords taking our excess value. And then it has like 250,000 likes.
Bots. I'm gonna comment something. I don't know anything about this guy, but am I the only? So this isn't necessarily a judgment of him, but am I the only one getting tired of people using green text or just literally any content from 4chan? And then obviously the channel is like deeply sanitized. I mean, I think a good example of this is like Turkey Tom, which I do not like that fucking Zoomer fuck. He's a perfect example of everything wrong with Zoomer morality. But anyway, just people Or like, okay, this is like an edgy platform where people say slurs all the time to everyone. And people fucking, they take from that, but then they try and, like, they either try to sanitize the message itself or purposely only pick the things that don't have slurs in them. When the part of the culture, the point of it is free speech. You just say whatever, right? That's the whole point. You say whatever you're thinking. You can say whatever you want to anybody. It's anonymous. It annoys the fuck out of me. Again, not a judgment call on this guy. Maybe he's edgy, but you know, it's fucking. Why don't I like Turkey Tom? I'll be honest. He's the type of guy where, to really pinpoint what I don't like, I'd have to watch more videos, and I don't really want to. I think what the part of the problem is, he's a perfect example of the type of guy who shifted his content with YouTube guidelines, which is pathetic. And yeah, actually, Bemp, that's good right there. Turkey Tom used to be edgy, sanitize himself for money. There you go. Yeah, exactly. Like doing these fake like documentary shit on degenerates, like, it's a bad taste in my mouth. All right, let's move on. I've never liked Borderlands.
Is their favorite food place. So this Froget place is on Promethea, a fictional planet that looks remarkably like San Francisco. And of course it's very diverse, or rather it reflects the demographics of San Francisco. If the point of representation is to introduce new and different viewpoints, then this is achieving the exact opposite of that. It feels like these stories only represent the experiences of young, wealthy, inner city tech people from the coastal cities of America, an extremely small niche, Twitter addicts.
Hey, Papa Girardi! I can smell your space calzones from here!
Ah, thanks! I need a new name for them!
Might also need to stop doing that problematic accent!
Yeah, I know.
Ew, that's a fucking line? Let me go back. I want to hear that at normal speed, actually, even. Gmal, thanks $10. Spot on about Turkey Tom. His biggest controversy is he said the big N in a DM or something. Aside from that, he's pro everything degenerate aside from weed. He's also one of those people who has questionable opinions on, we'll say, age differences between men and women. That was something my brother was telling me about. It wasn't even a question of, like, I don't remember the exact statement. I might have to ask my brother, but he's one of those where it's like, oh my God, she was 17 years old in 364 days. And the guy wasn't like a 30-year-old man. He was like 19 or something. So we're talking about, you know, a 17-and-a-half-year-old or something and a 19-year-old. And that was like, that freaked him out. Like, are you fucking kidding me?
Hey, Papa Girardi! I can smell your space calzones from here!
Ah, thanks! I need a new name for them!
Might also need to stop doing that problematic accent!
Yeah, I know.
A lot of the references and lingo just feel out of touch.
Wait, but if he's ethnically Italian, how is that problematic? And also, no one cares about Italians, because most people think Italians are white, and I would agree as well, being half Italian. So, that's a fucking retarded joke. It makes no sense. On multiple levels. Opinionated Junkie, thanks $2. Andrew Ryan did nothing wrong. Yeah, except for, like, going psycho at the end to prove a point. I feel like so many people are kind of like... I mean, it was a shocking moment the first time you play it, for sure. But, I don't know, him basically just letting himself die to prove that your character is a slave, you know, not a man. It's kind of... Was it worth switching to PS5? No. It was because people are complaining about bad frame rate. And you know what? It's not even that I disagree. I was just more pointing out the hypocrisy that for probably almost 10 years, maybe more than 10 years, every console gamer was dealing with that shit. But now, all of a sudden now they get 60 FPS. I can play games at 100 FPS. I'm fucking 3080. And I do play FPSs at 100 FPS sometimes. Sometimes 144 if it's an old one. Fucking fuck you. That's it. Yeah. The cursing thing is a serious problem. And again, you know, sometimes I trim complaints or I just determine they're not worth bringing up for one reason or another. But I'm not going to say me, because I'm not obviously not the only person who thought of this. But everyone who said they're going to just add curse words to Resident Evil 4, absolutely right. I was joking about it when I streamed the original one right before the new one came out. Joked about it constantly. What'd they do? They added a bunch of curse words. And I curse all the time. It's just part of how I talk, but there's something about the way with this millennial writing, what this guy's saying, it comes across too try hard. I'm not like exactly a normal person by any stretch, so you have to make the character fit the dialogue when it's these like beta male Redditor types. It comes across very cringe. You know, it's usually a military thing to curse constantly. Generation Z's the liminal space shit is hilarious. It's not that they're afraid of wallpaper, it's that they're afraid of empty rooms.
If you've been anywhere near the internet, you may have seen this spooky new trend. The back rooms.
See, I didn't know jack shit about PC gaming until 4 years ago. So, basically, from what I understand, the PS4 and Xbox One were not that powerful at the time of release. So I guess that's why, but it's the whole thing about consoles holding back video games, it has not been true in like 10 years because technology has only gotten better and games have only gotten shittier. So explain that one. Yeah, the viral horror stuff, man, it's just, the problem is I suppose it can only get viral if it's not scary. Isn't that kind of ironic, I guess? But I will say, I'll out myself and say the first Five Nights at Freddy's I thought was spooky because I never liked animatronics. I only have very young memories of that because, like, you know, I was born 95, so Chuck E. Cheese is pretty much already phased out, all that shit. But I have very vague memories. I think they were still around in whatever backwoods Ohio area that Chuck E. Cheese was. I think I saw animatronics. Never liked them. And so I see, like, okay, it's just creepy animatronics. That's a good concept. Then what they do, they fucked it up every time after that. And I have nothing against got caught then. It was just not scary after the first one. The designs were not uncanny. It needs the uncanny factor. Fear itself is subjective. So I guess you could throw that out there too. But I think the uncanny valley is so important to fear. Anything that the problem is if something goes viral, it becomes like less scary inherently anyway. Like the bird woman, whose name is slipping my mind. First time I saw her, I thought that was scary, but now it's like a joke. It's the fucking bird girl. People want to have sex with her, and people want to have sex with the Five Nights at Freddy's characters too. My conclusion is more that Zoomers are so over-socialized. I'd say we're all over-socialized. And again, you know, to evoke a little Uncle Ted, a little, you know, Orwell, Huxley, whatever, whoever you want to pick, really. Because the internet, we're so over-socialized, and if you live in a city too, even suburbia, depending on where, we're around people all the time. So the idea of a giant empty office building or empty mall, or not even a mall because it's too visually distinct, but empty offices, right? We'll just stick with that. The plain walls, you know, there's people supposed to be there. It's like a workspace, but you're all alone by yourself, working a 9 to 5. I don't know. Something about it. It's supposed to be slightly uncanny in a sense, you know, because who knows? There could be ghosts, there could be whatever. But just the idea that it's infinitely empty spaces, I don't know. There has to at least be something there. Like, which one was it? Was it SCP-87? Was the one where it's an endless staircase down? There is a monster. There has to be a monster. If there's nothing, then there's no fear after a while. It's just your empty spaces. Yeah, I know. This is why this is a small part of why I only game on PC now. Small part. PC, yeah, okay, you know what? I have to fuck around in the settings. I don't like that either. But at least I don't have to update shit every time I turn it on. At least Steam will actually do that on its own most of the time. Would you recommend getting a PS5 or hold on until it gets more games or Pro model? Don't buy it unless... No, I don't even think there's an unless. Don't buy it. If you already have a gaming PC, definitely do not. If you don't have any modern gaming console, I mean... I tried to cover a bunch of modern games. Did any of them seem worth playing to you? Resident Evil 4 remake, I guess, but I wouldn't say to buy one for it. Ratchet and Clank into the Nexus, is that what it's called? Whatever. The PS5 one is alright. It's fine. It's not one of the best ones. The PS2 ones are definitely the best, easily. Demon's Souls remake is worse than the original, kind of, sort of. Yeah, I know about the Capcom drag queens, yeah. And they had a VTuber for the Japanese stream. Yeah, growing up without chemicals in the water, yeah, that's one thing. No high fructose corn syrup.
Distribution. There we go.
Or vegetable oil and
Shit out of
everything.
this place.
So yeah, his natural testosterone's probably that plus, you know, the steroids, and again, wouldn't be shocked if the Marines got some experimental shit. Well, now the game is 60 FPS and I don't really notice the difference. Shocking. I mean, usually you can notice the difference between 30 and 60, but yeah, I don't know. Sometimes the way you capture something kind of fucks with how it looks. I don't know why or how, but it's just something I've noticed. This fucking... Hold your arms straight, you fucking... Oh, this is realistic aiming, guys! Whoa!
Jesus.
It's garbage. You have to remember, for as bad as my gameplay might look, which again is just because you guys aren't playing it, you're just watching, so you focus on all the flaws. But even if my gameplay was bad, there are people who play it on the easiest setting and also turn on accessibility, so just remember that. Oh my god. Oh my god. I sense a dark presence in this place.
This place is a synagogue. How can you tell? One, there are menorah decorations on the wall. It's a Jewish thing. And two, I didn't burst into flames just now, so. Burst into flames? It's just a dumb joke. Oh, unlike your other ones? You shut it.
Yeah, it wasn't a joke, by the way.
This place brings back a lot of memories.
If she steps into a church, she dies. That's the end of the game. They were all demolished.
As much of a believer. And the Inquisition, and the Holocaust. My family always made it out alive. Barely.
Name 107 more right now. I bet she can. She knows them all. None of the other characters will come to any conclusions. By the way, the game purposely makes so you can't destroy anything in the synagogue. Yeah, yeah. Have I ever met one of them? Yeah, my brother, my brother knew a Jewish guy, yeah. And I'm sure there were people in my school. I don't know.
Back there.
It was funny, because my brother's acquaintance, friend, whatever, he was scared of Thomas. He was intimidated by him, which is kind of hilarious. Thomas is, I've said this before, Thomas is like the world's biggest Mexican. He's 6 feet, 300 pounds. Or, I don't know if he's still 300. Maybe he lost some weight, but he's a big boy. He's a big boy.
It calms me. Helps me put things in perspective.
Oh shit. I forgot I had gyro on. I was gonna show you guys, like...
Show respect. It's what I know.
Dude, please go bald. Why do you guys want me bald? I don't want to be bald. I'm just sick of my hair. I was cursed with greasy hair.
What's this? Oh, this is the Torah. The what? It's scripture. It's like a...
Where's the other one?
Like a Jewish Bible. Hmm. My sister would have flipped for this. The one we used.
Where's the other one?
Half burnt. All right. Well, at least I didn't just chuck everything.
You can't even shoot it. You actually can't shoot it. If that doesn't tell you something, well, I mean, there's no hope for you.
For the new year, my sister used to give me an apple dipped in honey. Ugh, now I'm craving it.
She's craving foreskins, be honest.
Jewish holidays are all about food and celebrating not getting annihilated by our enemies. A long line of survivors.
And dominating their enemies. Every aspect of their culture, their government, central banking.
You doing better?
Yeah, it's
Getting homesick?
it's stupid. Listen,
You?
listen.
Same.
I don't even want to talk about this shit because it's all shit flinging, man. There's nothing really to say. It's I've said this before, and I sort of was implying it earlier this stream, but got distracted so many times. But even if like the controlled opposition are our opposition, we have to at least use them for what they're worth, if that makes sense. Like you can realize that like the Daily Wire and all of its type of people are not really on your team, and still use them to the extent that you need them to push forward your own agenda, I guess. Like, it can be a mutual using relationship, a manipulation relationship. The right is divided enough as it is. It's completely and utterly divided because I don't think any of the groups really share beliefs on any level. Because we've lost basically everything for the past bare minimum a decade, we basically lost on every level. I'd even say abortion, you know, Roe v. Wade being overturned, that whole situation, I wouldn't even call that a win for the right either, because I don't, that's again pretending that people all have the same exact opinion on that. I'm kind of neutral on abortion. I just don't like people may or may not be using it for. Is Zachman really leftist? Synthetic Man, I was skimming through the parts of the stream I missed. I heard you mention it. Any chance you clarify for me? He's been dropping hints. I'd say the situation around what's his name, Quantum TV was a hint. Basically, see, this is, I have so much information to remember at once that I don't have it all cataloged in my brain. You could probably read like Kiwi. I bet he has a Kiwi Farms thread, as pretty much every popular East Lab does. But basically, he's been putting out a lot of hints that he doesn't believe in what we thought he did with the fucking Anita Sarkeesian video shit that he made. There was one part, honestly, the part that just made me not want to watch his videos at all, that I already brought up twice on stream now, but I'll bring it up a third time, is I was watching, he made that lazy ass like Halo 5 highlights thing. Some character was surprised that the Arbiter had female, what are they called, Sangheili in his army, and Actman's reaction was, what, she's shocked that he isn't an incel? Not having women in your army makes you an incel. So I guess like all of the armies throughout history, every military up until the past like 20 years, it's full of incels. Everyone's a fucking incel because they didn't want women to die horribly in war, I guess. That was like and I understand it was like an offhand comment, but the fact that he put it in the video. See, it wasn't like my streams where I just say shit. And sometimes I don't say shit I completely mean. No, he put it in a highlights video, right? Like when I made my Call of Duty highlights thing, I stand behind everything I put in the video because I edited a fucking video. He thought that was like an important thing to put in his video. You think there are more Jewish people than what studies say? They say only 1 or 2% of the population is Jewish. I think only 6 million were dead in the Holocaust. So there has to be more. Well, you're getting into a very dangerous question territory. But let's just say many people have asked the same question, but in reverse, if that makes sense. What the hell is wrong with you guys? I want all of you to post your face. I'm gonna start losing it, you fat goblin body fucks. Yeah, do this, do that. I do what I want. This is the reason why I did YouTube in the first place. I need to go look at Dina fan art. Don't fall for the Khazar milkers.
This just happened now.
Hers are tiny anyway. Basically non-existent. How are you guys actually managing to pay attention to any of this? I've basically been talking over 90% of the dialogue, and I know my mic is like at least 5 decibels louder than the game. So somehow you guys are, I guess because of the subtitles. You got to be reading the subtitles. But why are you even here if you're muting my voice? You played this last week? What?
Get the other! Don't lose her! Go!
Now do that to Ellie, please. Kill Ellie. No, I'm not even gonna move. Kill Ellie. Kill Ellie. Kill her. Please? Nope. Yes! Yes! Pretty lame, though. How the hell would she even get away? Oh, wait a minute. What? Was that supposed to happen?
Didn't think I'd ever see you again.
You should have just killed her. Why would you capture her?
How'd you find us?
This is an apocalypse.
Kill all trespassers.
Oh, hold up. That doesn't make any sense.
Direct order, man.
No, let's talk to her. Let's figure out what she knows.
I don't give a fuck what she knows. You saw what she did to the others?
You have no idea how many people she might be with. This might be an ambush,
I don't care
Mike.
how many people she's with. We will find them. We will kill them.
Can you just think for yourself for a quick
Jordan,
second
get the
right
fuck
now?
out of my way.
Alright, now shoot Dina. Shoot again. Say the wolves are just retarded, I guess. There's no reason to spare them now. Oh, what? Is he gonna walk away?
Dina!
How hard is it to kill a woman, dude? Okay, thank God. And this game has like a weird addiction to neck snaps too. I feel like probably not that easy. Revenge is bad.
Are you okay?
Except when you're killing hundreds of people on your way to committing revenge. That's completely fine.
Ellie.
Don't think about that.
Ellie, we should go.
You should spare the person that you killed all these people on the way. This game sucks.
Enough.
Multiplayer is gonna be Kino. Sabotage, I feel like that's would have come out by now if they were still making it. I get the feeling that Naughty Dog got rid of all of its talent, and so this was like their last hurrah of at least making something, you know, new, not just remaking a game that already existed. Lee Bros, it's over. Now let's. I love. A woman can hold a man somehow. Like, how is she even holding him? This is a 90-pound scrawny Holocaust survivor versus literally any man. So I'm in an unfortunate situation where I look like, again, Agent 47, or more likely a thumb with a giant mutant skull. Definitely not Jason Statham. Or I hold on to my balding. Again, I need to bring this up more. I brought it up a couple times, but I should just bring it up in every video. But modern games having an equal amount of male and female enemies just means I can brutally murder women. I guess it's socially acceptable or something. I just hate how inorganic a lot of these semi-open areas Naughty Dog makes now are. Like, you could say the problem started in Uncharted, but when you're making a linear game, I'm not entirely sure what the purpose is of having this illusion of exploration. Yeah, the game still feels like a bunch of hallways, even if they're slightly bigger hallways, because the exploration is
What are you doing with
it's
that?
too limited.
It's stuck.
Thoughts on people calling liberalism woke or seeing it as woke? It's people being reactionary, like me, basically. Where it's very tempting to see all left-leaning ideology as bad. How is New Vegas woke, though? May I list the ways, the number of ways. The first of which, the NCR sending women on the front lines in a post-apocalypse is so stupid on so many levels, and it's a deliberate choice by the developers. It makes no sense. It doesn't matter if it's 200 years after the apocalypse. You need women to create more human beings. Plus, men do not want to see women, don't want to see women be brutally killed in war, especially by the Legion, who are rapists and slavers and have no qualms about brutally murdering women. Not to mention the women are in positions of power in the NCR military, so it's actually more woke than our modern day military. The NCR is. It's such a fucking, it's so bad writing, and at no point does the game make it apparent that is part of the reason why the NCR is collapsing, because they just say corruption. Also, the NCR had a female president for 52 years. They elect, and there's elections in the NCR. The Caesar literally says this. This is a line of dialogue in the game where Caesar says that they loved the female president so much they elected her, 13 times, 14 times, whatever that is. And what else was I going to say? I already said a bunch of this in the recording. So there's the two gay companions, which admittedly are pretty well written for gay companions. But the problem is Veronica, it's a whole side story with dead money, with Christine being a major character across the DLCs. Meets Ulysses, is hunting Elijah, is this badass secret agent for the Brotherhood of Steel, and is a lesbian. So there's that. And Veronica herself, I don't even like her character, period. I think she's insufferable. I don't know, there's a bunch of shit. The point is like, despite being in a post-apocalypse, and yes, I realize Fallout's not a realistic universe. That's not the argument I'm trying to make. It's more the argument that the Chris Avellone and likely whatever other creators from Black Owl Studios that were there at Obsidian were lefties, obviously. I don't know how lefty they were when they made the original, but the point is, it is like the liberal idealized sci-fi apocalypse situation where it's just like it's not Conan, it's almost anti-Conan, where Conan is more like, this is where obviously gender roles have devolved back into, and I know Conan is not the same, but I'm just thinking of like, primal wasteland male power fantasy type of thing. So anyway, whatever, I'm just rambling at this point. Veronica's voice actress also stated she's afraid of men because the game Yeah, fucking Felicia Day is, I don't like her in general, period. And Veronica just felt like Felicia Day being herself, kind of. Sort of, I don't know. I'm not going to say I really knew much about her back then, but I do know. The realistic depiction of the state of democracy, but it's a post-apocalypse. That's my point. And it's not only that, but you have to remember Fallout is based on the 50s vision of the future that then got nuked. So you're telling me, despite having 50s style clothes and sensibilities, that they became as progressive as we did? I mean, I guess they had 50 more years to do it than us, but it's just jarring. It's jarring when you actually stop to think about it. Having women in the military just doesn't make sense. Like, we're doing it now because of subversion and corruption and, whatever. So that's what the New Vegas video would be. If I talked about New Vegas, it would be a Full Me Schizo rant. Josh Sawyer wrote a lot of it, and he looks like he owns a coffee shop / fixed gear bicycle shop. Yeah, exactly. Josh Sawyer and Chris Avellone are definitely lefties. It doesn't mean that they're lunatics. It just means that there's certain parts of that ideology that are incompatible with biological reality. We'll say that. It's not saying that women can't do certain things, but it doesn't make sense fundamentally. People seem to forget that women do something incredibly important, which is, create babies, right? any one man can inseminate 1,000 women. So men are inherently less valuable in that type of situation. So throwing women in a post-apocalypse to die, even if they have mandatory service in the NCR, mandatory service countries in our real world don't send women to the front lines. So it's just, look, I don't want more realism, but I hate propaganda, so I'm conflicted. It's still one of my favorite games of all time, but the game purposely it doesn't show any form of femininity. There's no femininity in the game, good or bad, you know? There's basically no difference between men or women. I could fucking make a video only about Ulysses, talking about how Ulysses is a shitty self-insert character for Chris Avallone, which is funny because Ulysses is black. It's basically just like waxing philosophic about like allegiances and political leanings and things, when ultimately Ulysses is just a guy who his entire tribe got wiped of their identity and died and all that shit, and then another tribe tried to copy his shit without knowing the history. It was cultural appropriation. He got mad about cultural appropriation. They didn't have a term for it in 2010, or maybe the term existed but it just isn't in the game. But Ulysses got mad that the tribe from Honest Hearts, the evil one, culturally appropriated dreadlocks. That's like a part of his character. It's gay as hell, dude. I'm just saying. Like, when you analyze these things from like a modern lens, again, I love the game, but I'm just saying, you know, there's certain things I played too many times. But yeah, I mean, listen, that's why I like Fallout New Vegas. To finish what I was saying before, part of the reason I like Fallout New Vegas is the fact that you can join Caesar's Legion. That saves the game from being, you know, blatant political propaganda. But also, the problem with Caesar's Legion is that they're just too obviously the bad guys. It's not even that I necessarily think they would be the wrong choice, but it's just for how advanced the post-apocalyptic world is after 200 years. They seem way too primitive socially, though I get the NCR is the opposite, so I don't know. I guess that's kind of the point. But sometimes you have to wonder what's actually intentional and what's not, because the NCR is supposed to represent the corruption, like the old world's Western civilization or whatever, right? At least with the bureaucracy, corruption, whatever. The problem is that the bureaucracy and corruption is so vague. I'm not expecting them to name them or whatever, but I just mean the reasoning we're given for why the NCR is failing is it's just too vague for me, I guess. Opinionated Junkie, thanks $2. Taking over New Vegas is better than Caesar. See, the problem with that is that just makes your character into a blatant Mary Sue that isn't really like that's like immersion. Listen, when I first played the game, I was 15 years old, and yeah, at 15, I'm like, whatever, I'll just take over Vegas to rule it myself. Well, you know what? At 27, I think that's kind of retarded. Why? Your character is a mailman who gets shot in the head twice, and then he's the leader, the guy who knows basically nothing about New Vegas. He just kind of jumps in there, sees there's tribes LARPing his fucking casino, like old-timey 50s, you know, casino gangs.
Got her.
Yeah, Something Wicked, that is part of it, that the NCR had too much expansion, but that also kind of... It's funny because both the NCR and the Legion actually represent Rome in different ways. Where, yeah, the NCR is spread too thin, which might be the in-game explanation for why there's so many female soldiers, but it's still kind of... I don't know. There's a lot of suspensive disbelief asks that the game has from you. And I guarantee you, if I ever made the video, some of the top comments are going to make some snarky comment about how, like, oh man, death claws and super mutants are super realistic. I mean, that's not the point. That's the entry-level suspensive disbelief to get into the universe, right? I'm just saying, based on the political philosophy of the in-game universe, a lot of things I have a problem with. Like, there's explanations for why ghouls exist. There's explanations for why super mutants exist. There's explanations for why death claws exist. There's no explanation that men and women are biologically the same, except women can also make babies in universe. It's just not consistent. The problem is if you ask these questions, you're an incel. So, you know, I mean, what are you gonna say? You just don't care about it. The real answer is you don't take it seriously. The problem is there's so many lore channels, so many Fallout lore channels. I've listened to hours of like stupid shit just in the background because it's something to listen to. And nobody ever asks this question. Nobody. Not a single person. Same argument some bonehead made for Angraboda being a 13%er. Yeah, I know. The retarded... It's so stupid. It's not the same on any level. Because if you could explain Angraboda being black if they were just like, well, yeah, some of the giants are black. And then they could provide like 1 or 2 lines thing. It's the South Giants who live in a desert landscape or something. Or... Yeah, I would still think it's woke, but it would be less distracting. Certainly less distracting if they explained it. How are you able to play this game for 6 hours? It's so boring. Also, women is a social construct, don't you know? Yep. It is sad because I feel like despite all my schizo misogynistic ramblings, like there's literally nothing wrong with praising actual femininity. But again, like, I mean, I could be wrong. The game's fucking massive. You know, it's got like, you know, at least 60 hours of content, but I don't think there's like any point in New Vegas where a woman is just a woman. And yes, thanks for $5. But Synth, there's a difference between men and women in this game. Only women deserve redemption. Yeah, well, you know, this is definitely a female power fantasy thing. Tomboys are the best, Synth. Well, that's what I'm saying. The problem is like individually, none of these things stick out. It makes perfect sense that women would have basic survival skills in an apocalypse. There's nothing wrong with female characters doing things. The problem starts when there's no difference between men and women. Then that's always... The problem is the Overton window is shifted. Again, I have to talk about this again. New Vegas for 2010 was extremely woke. Woke wasn't even a term yet, and this was 4 years before Gamergate. So compared to Last of Us Part 2, which was 10 years later, Last of Us Part 2 is now the extremely woke that everything else is going to be measured against. Fallout New Vegas was that at the time, even if I didn't know anything about that identity politics or any of that shit. I knew nothing about that shit. Gamergate was what opened my eyes to that. But that doesn't mean it wasn't what it was. You know what I mean? Even if we didn't know it was that. Opinionated Junkie, thanks $2. Benny was wasted though, built up as a big bad. Yeah, Benny was... Well, Benny, though, is a good example of the quest design in Fallout New Vegas, where most players are probably going to walk up and shoot him in the face. Unless... Well, at least that's what I did. Probably 4 times I played the game, I've refused to give up my weapons and just kill everybody inside. Because, I mean, why not? It doesn't really matter if you're vilified by the tops. But you don't have to do that. You can walk in, you can talk to Benny, agree to meet him upstairs or whatever. You can expose Benny. I've never even done that, where you talk to the front desk dude, and you can expose him on his crimes. But there's a bunch of different ways you can handle the quest. Now, if he escapes, you know, Caesar catches him, and then... The problem where, I guess, again, the game was so rushed, but I bet they had a plan for if you free Benny, because you can free him when he's captured by the Legion, but then you just don't see him again, so... There's a lot of elements in New Vegas like that where it's like,
where are you going?
Yeah, this is clearly like cut content or something. If game has men and women, there's no mechanical difference between them. Is the measuring stick for wokeness, and 90% of games have been woke since the 90s. No, because what you're thinking of is the player character, no difference between men and women. Oh, good. Dicks and boobies. This is very appropriate to our conversation. It seems like lefty dishonesty tactics, Key Lancer. I'm gonna be honest, because if that's what you want to boil down this conversation to,
I didn't see any, but it's hard to
I
tell.
don't think you were listening. It's what I'm talking about. I don't care if a female character has the same stats as a male character, but I am gonna judge you if you play as female characters in games. I am, because my radar is way too sensitive for these things. Shit. For an RPG, unless you're making a based RPG, which is probably never gonna happen. But like, let's say if Kingdom Come Deliverance gets a sequel and it lets you play as a woman, I would not be shocked if the female character had penalties of some kind, because that would kind of fit what they're going for with that game. And yes, I'll stream it someday, whatever. This year. I'm pretty sure I promised I'd play it this year, I think. For Fallout, I don't expect there to be any character penalties, but I also don't expect in the universe them to pretend that they're the same, because that is propaganda. Solid bald spot. I guess I'm just trying to derail this conversation now, but I'm talking to get through this without being annoyed of what this is. Like, I've never had a problem playing as a female protagonist in a game, but if it's an RPG, I'm never gonna play as a female character no matter how many times I play it.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Not even just an RPG. Any character where I choose between male and female, I would choose male every time. Would you add more gameplay differences RE1 with Jill and Chris? No, I think what they did was fine. Obviously, Chris was not as good, though. But what they did was fine. Lone Wolf, thanks for $5. Are you tired of every game having RPG elements like God of War, for example? God of War should never become RPG. Yeah, because RPG mechanics sucked. I feel like we're very quickly approaching that type of coded language where we can't just say what something is. Like groomer, basically the way people mean it is pedophile. They just want to say pedophile, but you can't say pedophile, so people say groomer. Because what grooming actually means is not necessarily bad. You can groom someone to be a king. You can groom someone to be you know, like a soldier or something, though that could be arguably bad. But when we say grooming, we mean pedophile. That's what we mean. Was Kojima based? Well, there was a theory about that the guy who helped him write the older games was the secret based one. Because like usually when people thought of censorship, especially back then, it was like right-wing censorship was a huge thing up until like the late 2000s, right? Or early 2010s. So Demolition Man kind of showed like a very ahead of its time, like left-wing style censorship, even if people didn't think of it that way. So we're kind of, we're getting way more puritanical with certain things. Which is ironic given how pervasive porn is. Like, just beneath the surface, things are extremely degenerate. I don't know if I could bring myself to buying a waifu, but it would depend on how realistic they were. If they were indistinguishable, if they were like a Gen 3 synth from Fallout 4, then yes, I would. But they would probably be prohibitively expensive. That's my definition of grifter. I think I explained that already near the beginning of the stream. It's similar to the actual definition, which is that, you know, someone who commits a bunch of small swindles, I believe is what the grifter definition is. But I'd say like the modern version is basically just being a fence sitter to make the most amount of money possible. And that is swindling in a sense. It's like political swindling, where you're lying about your intentions, or you're not committing, like you're keeping your true motivation close to the vest so that you can make as much money and you can swing to whichever side is currently winning or losing, depending on like if you're trying to be the underdog or if you're trying to make as much money. Like people think Hassan is a grifter. He doesn't actually believe in the weird communist shit because he makes a shit ton of money being a you know, a far lefty. You still are edgy. Oh, I'm way more edgy now than I ever was. Trust me, Headshot Master. I only got more edgy, though I got less like annoying from a teenager perspective. You can be, there's a careful balance between being like a teenager who likes to say naughty words and think that you hate things and think that you wish death upon your enemies or whatever. Again, Shmuel Schmooter vibes, definitely. But there's a difference between that and then just trying to upset people but not even having to try, because inherently just saying things that are funny or interesting upsets people. So it's very easy to be edgy. Very easy to be edgy in the modern day. Thoughts on the first 3 seasons of Digimon? That might be a good last question to de-escalate. I think season 1 is still very watchable. I remember I binge watched all of the first season, and unlike Pokemon, it actually has a plot. So I remember it being decently enjoyable to rewatch. Season 2, I remember trying to watch season 2 again, and I was not very interested. I remember when I was a kid and I watched it, I still enjoyed it. Season 3, I remember being edgier, definitely. The cards, giving them like attachments or extra abilities and stuff, was kind of a cool idea. Because season 1 was the only one I actually watched again. I might have to try and watch season 3 again, because I just remember it being edgier, which I liked because I was one of those edgy kids, as I've said, and you could probably guess.